Friends, this is the fourth in line of the videos I'm uploading for the bank branch audits for the current financial year 2021. I had uploaded one video which related to the COVID-19 resolution framework circulars issued by the Reserve Bank of India during the current year. Now here I'll take up a few important circulars which we as branch auditors should carry with them and probably be aware of during the course of the branch audit for the current year. Before I start off, I again need to give a disclaimer that whatever I would be stating in this videos are my personal views, and please do not construe it as being the views of either the ICI or my firm, and also do not consider it as a professional advice. So friends, out of the 84 circulars which the Reserve Bank of India issued during the current year FY 2021, of course, these circulars also included notifications, FAQs, etc. Now, the regulatory, package COVID-19 resolution frameworks I've already done in the third part of my bank audit series. It's always been an issue for us as branch auditors that when you are doing an audit, you would find that in a borrower, the credits come into the current account of the borrower, and maybe he also withdraws it from there without the cash credit or the overdraft account being actually impacted. So very rightly, the Reserve Bank of India issued 3 circulars this year with respect to opening of current account, where they said, opening of current accounts a need for discipline. So the first one was dated 6th of August 2020, which is similar to the 2 circulars it took out for the resolution framework for the COVID-19 we've already discussed. And also, the other 2 are dated the 2nd November 2020 and 14 December. So these 3 circulars with respect to the opening of current account, a need for discipline, we would take up, because I think these are very important circulars. Then it's always been a case that we as branch auditors are always faced with situations where where the account gets short reviewed or an ad hoc review is done for the renewal of the credit facilities. Then there were 2 other very small circulars relating to the automation of the IRAC provisioning process in the banks with respect to, I think, the overdraft accounts, and also individual housing loans with respect to the rationalization of the risk weights. So friends, first I think we'll take up a new circular which came out on the 2nd of July 2020, which was the new definition of MSME. Now this particular definition of MSME, if you can see, it is a condition where both the conditions have to be complied with. So whenever if you are checking the compliance of the resolution framework of 6th August 2020 with respect to MSME accounts, then you need to definitely ensure that they are within the MSME definitions. So for a micro enterprise or an entity, as per the RBI circular, the investment has to be up to less than or equal to 1 crore and the turnover less than or equal to 5 crores. Similarly, in small and medium, it has been changed to 10 and 50 in small enterprises, and medium enterprises, the investment is less than or equal to 50 crores and the turnover less than or equal to 250 crores. So whenever, friends, you are giving relief of restructuring as per the RBI circular, please also ensure that the entity, based on whatever documents you are able to review, that the enterprise is an MSME. And if you find any information where probably the GST account return or any other audited financials, etc., now let's say where the turnover is probably exceeding 250 crores, then the relief under respective circulars for MSME should not be allowed. And whatever the repercussions, whether it is downgrade of the account, please ensure that. With respect to the ad hoc short review renewal of credit facilities, primarily what the Reserve Bank has said in this circular is that because the banks keep doing this frequently about allowing ad hoc reviews, renewals, etc., instead of regular reviews, the RBI and also the data not being captured into the CBS with respect to the date on which it was actually reviewed. And also the circular goes on to say that the ad hoc review of the renewal is not correctly captured or reviewed or covered by the concurrent audit and the internal audit activities. So primarily this circular says that all these it needs to be covered by the concurrent internal audit. The bank needs to capture these data of the ad hoc or the short review renewal, etc. And as given in the second block, I think which is the most important, it says that the banks should avoid frequent and ad hoc short review renewal of credit facilities without justifiable reason. Friends, if you remember, the 1st July 2015, there is a limitation of 180 days from the date on which the limit expires. And as can be seen, and as most of you would have faced, that what branches do is they would do a short review as soon as it is due, and then wait for another 100 days, do another short review, and then try and explain that this is allowed up to a maximum of 180 days without the number of times being relevant. Whereas I'm of a very clear opinion that the entire period is 180 days from the date on which the limit expires, and there should be a maximum of 2 short reviews which can be done, which is probably a period of 90 days each, so that both of them total up to 180 days, and that will be in total compliance with the Reserve Bank of India Master Circular of 1st July 2015. So please be very careful about that. Because branches do have this habit of extending the date of review where they do not get the audited accounts, or for various other reasons which may not be justified, even up to, I've seen cases up to maybe a year or more, in which in all such cases I think it's very clear that we as auditors need to downgrade these accounts and downgrade it to a substandard account. This circular of 14 September 2020 basically said that with respect to temporary overdrafts, the banks need to cover the IT-based systems to ensure that the IRAC norms, that is the automatic classification of such accounts as an NPA, etc., should be covered latest by the 30th of June 2021, and also of course the bank's investments. So this is a circular which probably gives you an idea that maybe the TODs which are which are given to the borrowers are not currently covered by the CBS, the automated IT-based systems in most banks, and that is the reason why the Reserve Bank of India has come out with this circular saying that the banks need to put in place and upgrade their systems to conform to the automation process latest by 30th June 2021. So as an audit exercise, I would suggest that with respect to all temporary overdrafts, please do a thorough review of the asset classification. With respect to the individual housing loans, there's a small change by the RBI circular of 16th October 2020, where for all such housing loans which are sanctioned between 16th October 2020 and up to 31st March 2022. This will be relevant when you're doing the capital adequacy ratio statement. So it says where the LTV ratio is less than equal to 80 in respect of these new housing loans, the risk weight has to be 35%, and greater than 80, less than equal to 90 as 50. Generally, the risk weights, etc., are corrected at the head office level, and so whatever statement you would get from the head office would, I presume, would cover these new housing loans in a separate row and column. But then, as an audit check, you should definitely ensure compliance with this particular Reserve Bank of India circular. Now, this is the circular which I thought, gives actually option for the borrower to probably carry out certain transactions, certain fraudulent transactions. In fact, if you've read the forensic audit reports of certain borrowers, you would find that there's a blatant misuse of the current accounts in all such cases, because what happens is that in spite of the borrowers maintaining a CC or an OD account, the branches or the banks have also allowed operations of the current account, and most of the credits and the debits then going through the current account, so that the cash credit account remains at the same level, maybe overdrawn, etc. So the Reserve Bank of India got these three circulars of 6th August, 2nd November and the 14th December. So what I've done is I've summarized this into two slides. So the first slide, obviously covering what the circular says. So the first slide is in respect of whether banks can open current accounts together with the CCOD facility. Now, if you do find a non-compliance with this particular circular, you can definitely have a look at all the transactions in the particular current account, and also report this as part of your long form audit report, and maybe also as a special note to the statutory central auditor. So the first question is whether banks can open current accounts together with CCOD facilities. Now the circular is clear. If the borrower has a CCOD facility, then no bank can open a current account, if you can see the first part of the flow chart. And if the borrower does not have a CCOD facility, that is, he has facilities other than a CCOD, and then depending on the aggregate amount of the credit facilities which have been availed by the borrower, there are three options. One, if the aggregate amount of credit facilities is less than 5 crores, then any bank can open a current account, subject to, of course, an undertaking that it will repay whatever. If let's say I have a term loan, 2 term loans of 4 crores, then from 2 banks, then each of them, it will give a undertaking to each of the bank that it will use that current account for payment of the installments, etc. The second option is when the aggregate amount of the credit facilities is greater than equal to 5 crores and less than 50 crores. Here, the RBI says that any lender can open a current account, but non-lenders, that is, if I have taken term loans, etc., from 3 banks, and if the total amount of facilities is, let's say, 40 crores, then all those 3 lenders can open a current account. However, if there is a non-lender, then they cannot open a current account. They can only open a collection account. That is, the credits can come there and the debits have to go to the credit of the lending bank, which is the 3 banks which gave the term loans. That is an example I'm taking. Now, the third case is when the total amount, the aggregate amount of credit facilities exceeds or is equal to 50 crores. In this case, the Reserve Bank of India circular says that there is a necessity of mandatory escrow mechanism being put in place. Number two, the escrow managing bank will open the current account only. That is, here it is not all the lenders which can open the current account. It is only the account, the bank which is managing the escrow account. Other lenders cannot, of course, they can open current account, but then they'll again be a collection account, and non-lending banks shall not open any current account. So the lenders, other lenders can open a current account, and these current accounts will only be collection accounts. Debit has to go to the escrow managing lender, and non-lending banks here cannot open a current account unless, unlike in the second case where they could open a collection account, but here it is only the lending banks which can open a collection account, and non-lenders cannot open any current account. The second part in this particular circular is the question which it raises is whether debits in the CCOD accounts is allowed in banks with aggregate exposure of less than 10%. So, you could have a multiple banking arrangement, and you could have 5 banks and probably, 3 or 4 banks with an aggregate exposure of more than 10%, and maybe two banks less than 10%. Now, the question is whether, with respect to those 2 banks with an exposure of less than 10%, can debits be allowed in the CCOD accounts? Now, here again, in the by way of this flow chart, it clearly says is the bank exposure to the borrowers 10% or more. If it is yes, then obviously CCOD facility can be availed, and if it is no, that if it is less, then the CCOD facility can be availed. However, again, like in the first case, it can be used only for credits in the account, and the debits will be only to remit the funds to the CCOD account of that borrower which has 10% or more of the exposure of the thing. So primarily what the RBI has done through these set of three circulars is, restrict the rampant use of current accounts to transfer funds from one bank to the other, and maybe, in spite of a CCOD account being there, using the current account and diverting the funds to like most of the forensic audit reports have reported. So friends, that was about, all about the other circulars which the Reserve Bank of India has issued during the current financial year. And I would again, reiterate that, please, my videos are only give you a macro view of the circulars. It gives you a macro understanding of the circulars, which I try to do. And in case, which I would definitely suggest that, you download all these accounts and, ensure that not only you, but your entire team goes through it, you read it, you do a back office planning, and ensure compliance with all the relevant Reserve Bank of India circulars. Thank you, good night, and see you. Bye-bye.